Representative Sarah Anderson chaired the House Redistricting Committee. She's here to discuss those maps and their impact. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin, Madam Chair, with the new maps are out. What do you think Minnesota voters need to know moving forward?
Well, first off, they need to figure out who their current legislator is under these new redistricting lines and where their new polling place will be. And all of that information will come in time as the local units of government figure out what new precinct lines are and county commissioner lines and so forth. So there's a couple more hurdles yet to be achieved here before May, but folks should start the process of kind of figuring some of those details out.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the work done by the courts. Yeah. Do you think that those maps generally reflect the same maps that the legislature passed?
No, you know, they were quite a bit different than what the legislature passed in both the House and the Senate. We took the goal of keeping communities as whole as possible as a serious commitment to the citizens in Minnesota. And if you did a comparison, just looking at the House districts alone, under the map that was passed by the legislature, we only split 39 cities. Now you compare that to the plan that the court issued, they split 89, so 50 more cities. So there's quite a bit of difference in the lines that were drawn by the court.
And in your opinion, how did the Republicans fare?
You know, I think for overall, I don't look at it in terms of Republican and Democrats. What I look at it is, you know, it's going to be more challenging for citizens because of all of these different splits. It's going to make it more onerous for local units of government to hold elections because there are more splits. So, I mean, that's my focus right now is, you know, how can we get through this next election cycle in a smooth fashion? It's
typically been the desire of the courts to keep those with similar economic or cultural status together. In your opinion, do you think that the courts did a good job in keeping these groups, as I mentioned, together?
You know, obviously we had a different plan, so you always think that your plan is, you know, the best plan out there. What I struggle with is, you know, I view the political subdivisions as the highest community of interest out there. People identify themselves by what town they live in, what township they live in, what county they live in. And when you're splitting them more than what the plan that we offered, I think that that's problematic. But I guess that's, you know, that's water under the bridge right now. So, yeah.
You know, with the shift of fewer rural seats and more in the suburban and urban areas, do you think this helps amplify the GOP message?
You know, I think what it does is this is just a result of, you know, population shifts within Minnesota. And one of the things that we've been focusing on as Republicans is removing barriers to job growth in this state. And that's some of the challenges that greater Minnesota is facing right now is people are coming to the metro area because they're looking for jobs. Well, if we can, as a state, remove some of these barriers to job growth, not only just in the metro area, but also in greater Minnesota, that just helps our state as a whole.
It's fair to say, Madam Chair, that a lot of work was done by the legislature to put its maps together. Mm-hmm. And I guess I need your opinion. The courts have essentially weighed in for the past 5 decades on this. In your opinion, is this a sign that the current system in place of developing and releasing these maps, is the current system working, or do you think it needs fixing?
You know, I have looked at other states. One of the proposals for Minnesota was to go to a commission system. And what would happen there is that there would be a judge panel that would first look at the population numbers. They would draw their own map, and then they would submit it to the legislature for legislative approval. Now, I've looked at other states that have gone to a commission system, California, for example, Arizona. And I just want to highlight California in particular because so many people, when they look at a commission system, say that it's going to be greater transparency. But in California, what they found is people were being hired to provide testimony to get partisan results out of the commission. I think you actually get less transparency under that route because people are operating under false pretenses, thinking that they're going to get a better product and a less partisan product, when in fact they get the opposite. And so.
What about the idea of just taking the legislature out of the loop completely and just giving it to the courts?
Again, you know, I think that there is value, and we've talked about this before. There is value to having lawmakers involved in this process. We know our areas probably better than most people because we have to travel it. I've door knocked my district multiple times. You know, you get an understanding of what your citizens are like, where the different communities of interest are, and what communities match better together. And I gave you some examples in the past. You've got Representative Karen Clark during the legislative process. She said, you know what, in your map you've split the White Earth tribal nation here in this map. I don't know if any average Joe citizen or even a judge would understand that, you know, but she knows that because she knows her area well. So we made the adjustments to the map to reflect that. And we have a couple other examples of, without the expertise of the lawmakers and their full knowledge of their districts, I don't think that we would have the product that we produced.
So given that you're obviously a little vested in the maps that the legislature did release, I'd still want your overall impression at first blush of the new maps.
You know, though I didn't like the fact that the maps were, you know, split a lot of communities, overall I'm excited about it. You know, Republicans, I think we're going to be heading into the election cycle, and I'm excited about the new territories that are open seats, and I think that we will do well in this election cycle, not just by, you know, what the boundary lines are, but the fact that we've been really pushing on a jobs agenda for the state of Minnesota, and I think that people understand that we're here to get that done.
Okay, Representative Sarah Anderson, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.